Welcome to the Helpful Hat Lady Show. I'm glad you're with us today, and we are happy to have you with us. My name is Agnes. I am going to be your host today for the show. We're going to be talking about some important information dealing with the COVID-19. This is a special episode just targeting folks that are going through this dilemma right now. Again, I've been in the mortgage industry for over 4 decades. I've been a public servant all my life, pretty much, and currently a founder for a small nonprofit right here in the Falls Church area for young adults. This particular episode is really helping homeowners who are dealing with the COVID-19 for a mortgage forbearance. So once again, welcome to the show. There's one thing about that the world always need. I just wanted to share the short story. Are teachers. Many people find learning from books, software, from their friends and neighbors. Some folks learn from their mistakes. Others learn from teachers. I know I do. So many people are always learning, never stop learning. So the show is all about keeping you in the know. All right? That said, let's move forward. Just so you know, the show is informational purpose only. I'm targeting the Washington metro area. That's DC, Maryland, and Virginia. I am not a lawyer, although I play one on TV, but I'm just here to provide you with professional development information. Okay? Once again, thank you for coming. And what you need to know about mortgage forbearance is what the show is all about. We're going to weigh in on the Q&A and pros and cons. So let's dive into it right now. Concern about making your next mortgage payment? Important things to know first. For many homeowners, mortgage, there is help. You just have to take a look at what options are available. Okay. Forbearance may be an option. We all hear the word forbearance. Working with your lenders, getting forbearance, which is just a help to avoid the late penalty and to avert foreclosure. Before we get into what is really forbearance, let's take a look at some of the quick terms I'm going to be covering so you're familiar with the word. When I talk about a lender, we're talking the bank that loans you the money. A servicer or mortgage servicer are the company that collects your mortgage for you. So just remember that when you hear the word servicer or mortgage servicer, they don't own the loan. The bank owns the loan. There's a third party that collects the payment for the bank. All right? Forbearance, which brings us to the subject we're going to be talking about. It's just a delay of your mortgage payment. So this is an arrangement made between you and your bank to delay your mortgage payment or to halt it, take a break. All right? Reinstatement is just simply defined as restoring. So if you're on forbearance or whatever arrangement you have with your bank, when you get back to resuming to your payment, you will be reinstated in some way. Repayment is just an action of paying back the loan. Loss mitigation. Now, you're going to hear the word loss mitigation. It's just a process when a lender modifies the term of the loan. Now, federally backed mortgage are the FHAs, the VA, and the USDA. So any loans that are FHA or VA, which is the veterans, or USDA, which are loans for the rural area, these are what we call federally backed mortgage. Non-federally backed mortgage are folks who are banks or lenders who are non-conforming lenders. They're private companies that loan money, okay? Of course, big banks, as you all know, we're referring to Bank of America, Capital One, Chase, Citibank, and Wells Fargo. Those are the big guys. Now let's tackle with what we call mortgage forbearance for the COVID-19 Q&A. What are the questions and answers people wanted to know? Well, let's take a look at what is a mortgage forbearance. A mortgage forbearance is to provide a temporary relief, allowing you to make low monthly payment or no payment at all for a specific time. And usually it lasts for like 6 months or sometime a year. But keep in mind, a mortgage forbearance does not waive the loan, does not guarantee you anything we call a grant. So just remember that a mortgage forbearance is not a waiver or a grant. A grant, of course, is a loan that you don't have to pay back. A waiver is waiving everything. So just keep that in mind. How to get a mortgage forbearance? Well, the first thing you need to do is contact your mortgage servicer or contact your mortgage lender. Now, when I say the servicer, remember earlier we talked who the servicer is? A servicer is someone who collects the mortgage payment for the bank. So you can either look on your mortgage coupon and see what is the toll-free number for you to contact the servicer or the lender to apply for forbearance. So always look on your mortgage statement. You should find some information there, okay? Now, who owns my mortgage loan? Now, it's very important you understand this question, who owns my mortgage loan? And the reason for this is with this forbearance that are being offered for this COVID-19, if your loan is federally backed by Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, these are the loans like FHA, VA, and USDA. You remember we talked about that earlier? These are the federally backed mortgage. Now, these folks who have loans that are owned by these two folks, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and you can find out this information by simply going online and type Freddie Mac or Freddie or Fannie Mae and do what we call loan lookup. And you'll be able to answer a series of questions to find out if they own your loan. And if they own your loan, it is easy for you to apply for forbearance and you don't have to pay any interest, no penalty, and hopefully they won't report your time that you're not paying to the credit bureaus. All right? So it's very important that you find out if Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac owns your loan. They are the ones we call the federally backed mortgages. Okay? All right, let's move on. You want to have few things on hand when you do apply for forbearance. Just remember that. You must have a most recent mortgage statement, an estimate of your current income, your expenses as well, and maybe an explanation letter explaining that you're unable to make your mortgage payment due to the COVID-19, which of course everyone knows what it is. So we all know that folks have lost some hours on their job or they're asked to stay at home, and some folks are not getting paid, some are getting paid. So just remember that those are the things you have to get ready when you apply for a forbearance. Now, on a final note here, it is best to start the process sooner rather than wait till the last minute. So what I'm saying is get all your paperwork, start collecting them when you're planning to apply for a forbearance. Just a rule of thumb. Will my mortgage forbearance affect my credit? Wow, good question. This is very important. Most people ask me this question all the time. Unless your lender agrees not to report it, your forbearance will be reported to the credit bureau. So this is a very, very crucial question. So folks who are applying for forbearance, which is a delay of your mortgage payment, it depends on your lender. So you need to check with your lender and see what kind of program is in place for you. Although the federal government has advised folks not to report anyone to the credit bureau because of this COVID-19, you want to make sure you clear that first before you apply for forbearance. Otherwise, just keep that in mind that it will be reported in your credit bureau report. That brings us to another thing we talked earlier. If you've been watching me on my show, there was one thing I'll mention on one of my episodes. You always have the right to put 100 words in your credit report, all three of them: experience, TransUnion, and Equifax. You simply have to put on your credit report, COVID-19, coronavirus, that's it. You put that there, anyone who pulled your credit report knows exactly what's going on during that period. So take advantage of 100 words you're allowed to put on your credit report explaining a situation that is avoidable, and take advantage of it. Don't make it too long, just make it short and sweet. COVID-19, everybody understand that. Get it? All right, so again, the question was, will mortgage forbearance affect my credit? Well, maybe not. Depends on your lender. All right, okay, let's move on to the next question. How does mortgage forbearance work? Well, simple. To request one, you will have to contact your lender or your servicer. Remember, the lender is the bank who owns your mortgage. The servicer are the folks who collect the payment for the bank. So you can contact either one of them by simply looking at your mortgage coupon or your bill from your lender. Your lender qualification can vary from different lenders, so try to find out what options are available through your mortgage company. They will have to be the one to determine the options that are there. If you qualify for forbearance, your lender will work with you and set up the forbearance agreement for either 6 months to delay your payment or 12 months, depends on the lender. So take advantage of it, okay? Now the terms can include a couple things: the length of the forbearance, the amount of payment you're required to pay during the forbearance, whether the lender will report the forbearance to the credit bureaus, or how will they repay the lender back after the forbearance period. Well, these are pretty good questions. These are some of the terms. When you take the forbearance, it has a period of time it will go on for. It has the amount that you will be paying or no amount at all. And it also has another condition there, whether they will report it to the bureau or they will not. And you also need to know when the forbearance ends, when are you gonna start paying the lender back? These are tough questions. These are terms you need to understand before you sign the agreement. All right? Now, FYI, just so you know, your loan interest will still continue to accrue during the forbearance. Remember that. Now, a lot of people think when you apply for forbearance, everything just stops. No, it doesn't. Yeah, you may stop paying your mortgage payment, but your interest is still accruing during the forbearance. The forbearance period will end at a certain period. You'll have to pay your lender back. If your financial hardship continue for a long period of time, they will have to do a couple things. They either will reinstate the loan or put the loan in repayment or do what we call a mortgage loan modification. Keep these thoughts in mind when you apply for forbearance. So if you have any money coming in whatsoever while you're in forbearance, try to knock down that interest that's accruing. Even if you just send the amount of the interest that's accruing to the bank, it is very helpful, because at the end, you don't want that interest to be capitalized. And what do I mean by this? The interest will be added on top of the mortgage, which will make the mortgage even larger. Or you don't want to get into another situation where the mortgage will be modified, changed to something else. And oftentimes, some banks will take the month that you haven't been paying and tag it along to the back end. We call it back end. And what do I mean by this? For example, if the mortgage is for 30 years and you just bought your house and you apply for forbearance, if you stop paying for 3 months, that 3 months will be at the back end of your mortgage. So now you owe 33 years of this mortgage instead of 30 years. Make sense? All right. Let's go on to the next question. How long does mortgage forbearance last? Well, as I mentioned to you, it depends on the lenders. 6 months. Some will give it up to 12 months. So remember, it's just a short-term financial loan for the situation with the COVID-19 right now for the 2020 year. Okay? Will forbearance impact my financial future? Pretty good question. Well, unless your lender has agreed not to report it to the credit bureaus, you will be fine. Now, if they do report it, it will show up in your credit report. It could affect your credit score. Yes. So the answer to your question, will it affect your future? Of course it will. Because for those periods that you were not paying your mortgage, they're going to report it as past due. So you want to make sure you take advantage of that 100 words at the credit bureau report. You want to make sure you send it to all the bureaus, TransUnion, Equifax, Experian. Put the 100 words there. Don't do 100 words, by the way. You could just use the word COVID-19, coronavirus, 2020. Everybody understand what was going on during this time. We're all in this together, remember? All right. Next one. Well, one final FYI again, forbearance does not mean it's forgiven. A lot of people get this misconception about thinking that a forbearance is a loan that's going to be forgiven for that period of time that you weren't paying your mortgage. It is not. That's one of the FYIs. Now we're moving on to pros and cons of the mortgage forbearance. Okay, let's take a look at pro of the mortgage forbearance. One of the pros of getting a forbearance, it may allow you to avoid foreclosure. That is a biggie. Instead of your house going into foreclosure, when you take advantage of a forbearance, it will help you save that disaster to happen. It's a short-term financial hardship, and sometimes it will definitely go on your credit report, but it's not as hard as a foreclosure going on your credit report. So it's one of the what we'll call less of an evil. Okay. What are some of the cons? Well, some of the cons are the mortgage forbearance. You will be asked to pay a lump sum right up front. For those 3-4 months that you weren't paying the mortgage, some bank will ask that it will all come due right now after this virus. Hope not. I hope, for God's sake, they don't do that. Your monthly payment could increase because they will take that amount that you weren't paid, they will spread it out over a 12-month period. So sometimes that is not so bad. They will extend the mortgage terms. You remember I mentioned to you, if the mortgage terms, let's say you took the forbearance, your mortgage was about 27 years left to pay your mortgage, and you took a 3-month forbearance. Now your mortgage is going to be due 30 years. So if your mortgage was a 15-year mortgage and you took a 6-month forbearance, just remember that your mortgage is going to be due in 14 and a half years. So that 6 month now will be added behind it, and it will be about 15 years again. Make sense? Now interest will continue to accrue. Now that interest that's accruing could be a couple ways could happen. It could either you pay it up front, or it will be added on top of your loan amount, or it will be a lump sum payment. And also the con, it may negatively impact your credit report. So again, those are some of the cons for the mortgage forbearance. Now get your mortgage forbearance agreement always in writing. If you ever apply for forbearance, you want to make sure you have it down in writing. Don't just take a verbal agreement from someone. So before you agree on the relief of the forbearance, ask your mortgage servicer or your bank or your lender to provide a written copy. Forbearance agreement must confirm the details of your agreement, what you agreed on. Make sure you know what your obligation will be after the forbearance before you sign the agreement. Okay? Okay, that's pretty much wraps it up. We're moving on now to my final thoughts. My final thoughts to you, folks. Things to consider when you're making this decision. It's a tough decision when you don't have any income coming in or you're having this COVID-19. Everybody is confused right now. Now, is the mortgage forbearance right for you? You want to ask yourself those questions. What will the payment be once the forbearance ends? Will the mortgage payment be manageable? How will your account be reported to the credit bureaus? What will be the account accrued late fees on the daily interest that's accruing? These are tough questions, but you want to sit down and kind of digest all of that before you go into your forbearance. As a general rule of thumb, I just want you to know this from my perspective. If you can afford to pay your housing payment, you should continue to do so and avoid not requesting to go into forbearance. Unless if you don't have any choice, you could go for it. But if you can, while you're still in forbearance, continue to make payment if you can. Okay? Okay, for a list of counselors in the local area, you want to check out the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Homeowners can always call the Hotline. There's a hotline for folks who are going through this distress moment with the COVID-19. It's called, it's a 24-hour service, by the way, just so you know, and it's a 1-888-888-995-HOPE. That's HOPE. They will be glad to answer all your questions for you. So always reach out to the Hope Hotline, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Can you believe that? It's 1-888-995-HOPE. Okay? And for more information, you can always reach consumerfinance.gov. All right? I thank you so much for watching, and if you'd like to reach me, my name is Agnes Genova. I'm your host today for the Helpful Hat Lady Show. I'm here for you. I'm fighting for you to keep you informed. My email address is helpfulhatlady@gmail.com. That's helpful hat with H-A-T lady @gmail.com or helpfulhatlady@yahoo.com. Thank you so much for watching. Be safe and stay healthy. Bye-bye.